3 days after the humans disappeared, the lights in Section C went out. Engineer Kelna tried to fix them. She was one of the best alien technicians on Nexus Prime. She had worked with machines for 30 years, but when she opened the control panel, she found wires and circuits she did not understand. "These connections make no sense," she told her supervisor. "How is this system even working?" The supervisor did not know either. They called more engineers. Soon, 12 alien specialists stood around the broken panel, scratching their heads and making confused noises. "Engineer Dane used to fix these problems in minutes," someone said quietly. Cho had been the chief maintenance engineer for 15 years. Every morning he would walk through the station with his tool bag. He would check systems, replace worn parts, and update software. The aliens never paid much attention to what he did. His work was invisible when everything ran smoothly. Now, nothing ran smoothly. The gravity in Section D started fluctuating. People would be walking normally, then suddenly feel twice as heavy, then light as feathers. It made everyone sick and dizzy. The air recycling system in the residential areas began making strange grinding sounds. The air started to smell bad. Alien families complained, but no one knew how to fix it. "Call the human engineers," said Counselor Nara. "They are gone, remember?" her assistant replied. "Then find their repair manuals." They took everything with them. The computer files are all deleted. Nara's insect eyes bulged with frustration. She had never realized how much the humans had been doing quietly in the background. The problems got worse each day. Commander Rena Kang had been in charge of station security. She had trained the alien guards and planned their patrol routes. Her tactical programs had prevented crime and kept everyone safe. Now, with her gone, fights broke out in the marketplace. Thieves stole from shops. The alien security guards ran around confused, not knowing how to handle problems they had never faced before. "Commander Rena used to send us detailed reports every week," said Security Chief Vorth. "She told us about potential problems before they happened. Now we only find out about crimes after they are already done." The communication systems started failing next. Messages took hours to send instead of seconds. Some messages never arrived at all. The quantum relay network that connected the galaxy was breaking down piece by piece. Dr. Mira Kim had been maintaining those systems. The aliens thought it was simple computer work. They did not realize she had been using advanced mathematics and quantum physics to keep information flowing across impossible distances. "How did the human woman make these calculations?" asked the station's head scientist. He was looking at pages of equations that Dr. Mira had left behind. "These numbers do not follow any rules I know." His team of alien researchers spent days trying to understand just one page of her work. They failed completely. Meanwhile, outside the station, bigger problems were growing. The Crimson Nebula trade route had been protected by human patrol ships. Captain Borum Song had led those patrols for 8 years. She knew every asteroid, every hiding place, every trick that pirates used. Without her ships watching, the pirates came back. The first attack hit a cargo vessel carrying medical supplies to the outer colonies. 20 alien crew members died. The pirates took everything valuable and left the ship drifting in space. "Send our warships to hunt them down," ordered General Korth. But the alien warships moved slowly and clumsily compared to human vessels. The pirates knew this. They attacked supply convoys and disappeared before help could arrive. Within a week, 5 more ships were destroyed. Trade along the Crimson Nebula route stopped completely. Prices for basic goods began to rise on dozens of worlds. "Where are our tactical advisors?" asked Admiral Thex. "The humans were our tactical advisors," his aide reminded him. Admiral Thex felt a chill run through his body. For decades, human officers had been suggesting battle strategies and patrol patterns. The aliens had thought the humans were just following orders. Now they realized the humans had been giving the orders all along. Research projects across the galaxy ground to a halt. Dr. Yuna Oh had been working on a cure for the genetic disease that affected the Zephyrian species. Her research was 90% complete. But when alien scientists tried to continue her work, they discovered they could not read her notes. "She wrote everything in human scientific language," complained Dr. Vexcor. "We do not understand these symbols and formulas. Can we translate them?" "We tried." But her concepts are too advanced. She was using theories that we have never heard of. The same problem appeared everywhere. Humans had been working on faster engines, better weapons, improved farming techniques, and new medical treatments. When they left, they took all of that knowledge with them. Professor Jiho Nam had been developing a new type of energy shield. The prototype had been working perfectly. Now the alien engineers could not even turn it on. The human professor must have used some kind of secret code, they decided. We need to break into his computer files. But there were no computer files to break into. Jiho had wiped everything clean before he left. The only thing remaining was the physical device, and it was useless without the knowledge of how to operate it. Food shortages began on the agricultural worlds. Captain Sunho Bay had been coordinating supply shipments across 17 star systems. His routes were efficient and cheap. Farmers knew exactly when to harvest their crops. Merchants knew exactly where to send their goods. Without his network, everything fell apart. Crops rotted in fields while people starved in cities. Ships full of grain sat in spaceports while no one knew where to send them. The complex web of trade relationships that had fed billions of people simply stopped working. The humans made it look so easy, said Trade Minister Glix. They just moved things from place to place. How hard could it be? Very hard, it turned out. Every world had different needs at different times. Weather patterns affected crop yields. Political situations changed shipping routes. Currency exchange rates fluctuated daily. Captain Sunho had been managing thousands of variables in his head. He had personal relationships with farmers, merchants, and transport captains across the galaxy. When he left, all of that knowledge and all of those connections vanished. Chairman Vextar called emergency meetings every day. Each meeting brought worse news. The medical station on Proxima 4 is asking for help, reported his aide. Their diagnostic equipment stopped working. Send them replacement parts. Sir, we do not know what parts they need. Dr. Hana Shin used to handle all medical equipment maintenance. The mining colony on Asteroid Base 7 says their excavation robots have shut down. Tell them to restart the robots. They tried, sir. The robots were programmed by human engineers. No one else understands the control systems. The diplomatic mission to the Outer Rim has been attacked by rebels. Send military support. Sir, our commanders do not know the local situation. Ambassador Wu Jinhan used to brief them about political conditions in each region. Each problem seemed small by itself. But together they created a disaster that grew worse every hour. The council members began to panic. This is impossible, said Councillor Nara. How could one species be involved in so many different things? They were not just involved, said General Korth slowly. They were running everything. We thought we were in charge, but the humans were actually making all the important decisions. That cannot be true, insisted Chairman Vextar. We gave the orders, they just followed them. But deep down he was beginning to understand. The humans had not been following orders. They had been making suggestions, and everyone had accepted those suggestions because the suggestions were always good. Now, with no more suggestions coming, the council was making decisions on their own for the first time in 50 years. Their decisions were terrible. By the end of the first week, Nexus Prime was falling apart. By the end of the second week, trade routes across the galaxy were in chaos. By the end of the third week, even the council members were starting to admit the truth. The humans had not been junior partners in galactic civilization. They had been holding it together. Captain Jinho Park walked through the long halls of Nexus Prime. His black uniform was clean and pressed. His face showed no emotion. Behind him, Dr. Mira Kim carried a small bag of research files. Admiral Taeho Lee followed them both, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. They had been doing this walk for 50 years. Every day the three humans went to the council chambers. Every day they tried to help make the galaxy a better place. Every day the other species treated them like children who did not understand important things. Today was different. Today everything would change. The council chambers were huge. 12 different species sat in tall chairs around a circle. At the center sat Chairman Vextar, a green reptile with cold yellow eyes. His skin looked like old leather. When he spoke, his voice was like rocks grinding together. Jinho took his place at the small human table. It was lower than the others. The council had made it that way on purpose. They wanted humans to remember they were not equals. "Today we talk about the new mining rights," said Chairman Vextar. His long tongue flicked out as he spoke. "The humans want access to the Kepler belt. This is impossible." Mira stood up. She was small compared to the aliens, but her voice was strong. "The Kepler belt has rare metals. We need them for our medical research. We are close to finding a cure for the bone plague." The insect-like Counselor Nara made clicking sounds with her mouth. "Humans always want something. You take and take but give nothing back." "That is not true," said Taiho. His voice was calm but firm. "Human ships protect the trade routes. Human engineers keep this station running. Human doctors work in your hospitals." General Korth laughed. He was covered in thick fur and had sharp teeth. "You do simple work. Anyone can do what humans do." Jinho felt something cold grow in his chest. 50 years of this. 50 years of being treated like they were stupid. 50 years of having their ideas rejected before anyone even listened. Chairman Vextar stood up. He was very tall, almost 3 meters high. "The Kepler belt belongs to species that deserve it. Humans are barely more than animals. You should be happy we let you live on the outer worlds." The other council members made sounds of agreement. Some laughed. Some nodded their heads. None of them spoke up for the humans. Mira's hands shook a little. She had worked for 20 years on the bone plague cure. She was so close to saving millions of lives. But the council did not care. Taiho's jaw tightened. His ships had fought pirates just last week. 3 human pilots had died protecting alien merchant vessels. But the council acted like humans did nothing. Jinho stood up slowly. The room became quiet. Everyone looked at him. "We understand," he said. That was all. 2 words. He picked up his files and walked toward the door. Mira and Taiho followed him. "Where are you going?" asked Chairman Vextar. "The meeting is not over." Jinho did not turn around. "Yes, it is." The 3 humans left the chamber. Behind them, the aliens started talking loudly. Some seemed confused. Others seemed angry. Jinho walked to the communication center. He sent one message to Earth and all human colonies. The message had only 3 words. "Come home now." Within hours, strange things started happening all over the galaxy. On Nexus Prime, human engineers started packing their tools. They did not explain why. They just gathered their things and walked to the shuttle bays. Human doctors in alien hospitals finished treating their patients. Then they quietly left. They took their medical knowledge with them. Human teachers stopped their classes. Human merchants closed their shops. Human pilots landed their ships and powered them down. Nobody asked questions. Nobody demanded explanations. When the message came from Captain Jinho, every human in the galaxy simply prepared to leave. Chairman Vextar tried to call Jinho. The communication went nowhere. Human phones were turned off. Human computers were wiped clean. It was like humans had suddenly become invisible. By the next morning, something incredible had happened. Every single human in council space was gone. Not just the important ones like diplomats and officers. All of them. The engineers who fixed broken machines. The cleaners who kept stations running. The farmers who grew food on frontier worlds. They had vanished like smoke in the wind. General Korth went to the human residential district on Nexus Prime. The apartments were empty. Not just empty, completely clean. No furniture, no personal items, no sign that anyone had ever lived there. It was like humans had never existed at all. The strangest part was how they left. No big ships launching from spaceports. No transport convoys heading to the borders. Human vessels had simply powered up and flown away in the middle of the night. Alien traffic control had not seen them leave. Some aliens tried to follow the human ships, but the ships moved faster than anything the Council had ever seen. They disappeared into hyperspace using technology that should not have existed. Dr. Yuna Oh had been working in the medical center just the day before. Now her lab was empty. All her research files were gone. Her experimental equipment had been removed so carefully that there were no marks on the walls. Captain Sunho Bay had been running supply routes for 15 years. Alien merchants woke up to find their contracts canceled. Their goods sat in warehouses with no one to deliver them. Engineer Dane Cho had been maintaining the station's power systems. Now those systems were running on automatic. The aliens did not know how to fix them when they broke down. What scared the council most was how quiet it all was. Humans did not send angry messages. They did not make threats or demands. They did not declare war or promise revenge. They just left. It reminded Jinho of something his grandfather had told him long ago. When someone does not respect you, you do not have to prove you deserve respect. You can just go find people who already know your worth. 50 years was long enough to try. 50 years was long enough to be patient. 50 years was long enough to hope that aliens would see humans as equals. Now it was time to try something different. Chairman Vextar stood in his empty chamber. For the first time in centuries, the council had no human representative. The small table sat empty. Somehow the room felt much larger and much lonelier than before. They will be back, he told himself. When they get hungry, they will come back. When they need our protection, they will come back. But deep in his cold reptilian heart, he knew something important had just happened. The humans had not run away in fear or anger. They had made a choice, and Chairman Vexitar was starting to think it might have been the right choice. 3 months after the humans left, the first famine began. The agricultural world of Verdania had always been green and beautiful. Vast fields of golden grain stretched from horizon to horizon. For centuries, Verdanian farmers had fed dozens of star systems. Now the fields were empty. "We do not know what to plant," said Farmer Keld. His 4 arms hung limp at his sides as he stared at the bare soil. Captain Sunho used to tell us which crops were needed where. He knew which planets wanted grain, which wanted vegetables, which wanted fruit. Keld's neighbor, Farmer Vess, nodded sadly. The human captain also knew about weather patterns. He told us when storms were coming and when droughts would happen. We planted different crops based on his advice. Without those predictions, the farmers had guessed wrong. They planted water-loving crops just before a drought. They planted delicate vegetables just before a massive storm. Half their food was destroyed before it could be harvested. The food that did survive had nowhere to go. "We have warehouses full of grain," said distribution manager Hex, "but we do not know which ships to load, or which routes to take, or which ports will accept our cargo." Ships arrived at random, asking for random things. Some wanted grain when Verdania only had fruit ready. Others wanted fruit when only grain was available. The complex schedule that Captain Sunho had maintained was gone. On the industrial world of Mechanica, factories began shutting down. Engineer Dane Cho had designed the maintenance schedules for thousands of machines. He knew exactly when each robot needed new parts, when each assembly line needed to be cleaned, when each power generator needed to be serviced. "This machine should have been repaired 2 weeks ago," said Factory Supervisor Knox. She was looking at a giant manufacturing robot that had stopped working. "But we did not know it needed repair until it broke completely." Her team tried to fix the robot using instruction manuals. But the manuals were written in human technical language, full of concepts and procedures that aliens did not understand. Engineer Dane used to walk through the factory every morning, remembered Worker Zill. He would listen to the sounds the machines made. He could tell when something was going wrong just by hearing it. Can we learn to do that? Maybe in 10 or 20 years. But the factory will be completely broken by then. Similar problems appeared on every industrial world. Without human engineers to maintain them, the machines that built everything from starships to cooking pots began failing one by one. Medical facilities across the galaxy faced a crisis they had never seen before. Dr. Yuna Oh had been working on treatments for 17 different diseases. Her research was stored in computer systems that alien doctors could not access. Worse, her experimental procedures were so advanced that Other species could not understand them even when they found her notes. "The bone plague is spreading again," reported Dr. Kiv from the medical station on Helios Prime. 300 people are infected. Dr. Yuna was close to finding a cure, but all her work is locked away. The treatment centers that Dr. Yuna had established were closing down. The alien doctors who worked there had been following her procedures without really understanding them. When problems arose that were not covered in the procedures, they did not know what to do. "We were like students copying from a master," admitted Dr. Zor. "We could follow her instructions, but we never learned her thinking process." Cultural tensions that had been peaceful for decades suddenly exploded into violence. Director Hyon Park had managed cultural exchange programs on mixed species colonies. She understood how different alien species thought and felt. She knew which groups worked well together and which ones needed to be kept apart. Her programs had been so successful that everyone forgot why they were necessary. On the colony world of New Harmony, 3 different species had lived together peacefully for 30 years. Reptilian saurians worked in the mines. Insect-like chitons ran the farms. Furry ursans managed the cities. Without Director Hyon's careful planning, old prejudices returned quickly. "The chitons are stealing our jobs," complained Ursan leader Growl. "They work for lower pay and make the rest of us look bad." "The ursans are lazy," replied Chiton Queen Buzz. "They want easy work and high pay while we do all the hard labor." "Both of you are parasites," said Saurian Chief Scales. "We Saurians dig the valuable metals out of the ground. You others just take our wealth and give nothing back." Fights broke out in the streets. Saurian miners attacked Chiton farmers. Ursan police arrested Saurians and Chitons for no reason. The colony that had been a model of peaceful cooperation became a war zone in just a few weeks. The same pattern repeated on colony after colony. Director Hyun had been maintaining thousands of delicate cultural balances. Without her wisdom and experience, decades of peace collapsed into chaos. But the worst crisis was still coming. Reports arrived from the frontier regions about massive enemy fleets. "The Void Marauders are moving again," announced Scout Captain Vex. His voice was full of fear. "Their fleet has grown to over 2,000 ships." The Void Marauders were savage nomads who lived by attacking and destroying civilized worlds. For centuries, they had been a small threat, easily handled by Council military forces. That had changed 6 months ago. "They defeated our patrol fleet at the Omega Nebula," reported Admiral Thex. 50 Council ships destroyed, no survivors." "How is that possible?" demanded General Korth. "The Void Marauders have primitive weapons and old ships." "They have been recruiting," explained Intelligence Officer Nix. "Species that have lost trade routes, colonies that have lost food supplies, worlds that have lost medical care. They are all joining the Void Marauders because the Council can no longer protect them." It was true. As the Council's infrastructure collapsed, desperate people began looking for alternatives. The Void Marauders promised simple solutions. Take what you need by force. Destroy anyone who opposes you. Live free in the darkness between stars. "Admiral Tejo used to predict these kinds of problems," said military analyst Kex. "He would see trouble starting months before it became dangerous. Then he would position our fleets to prevent small conflicts from becoming big wars." "Where are his strategic plans?" "Gone with him, sir." Admiral Tejo took all his military knowledge when the humans left. The Void Marauders attacked the mining station at Asteroid Cluster 7. The Council sent 3 battleships to stop them. The Void Marauders destroyed all 3 ships and captured the mining station. "Our battle tactics are not working," admitted Fleet Commander Dorr. "The enemy is using strategies we do not recognize." "What kind of strategies?" "Complex ones. They attack from multiple directions at once. They use psychological warfare. They coordinate their fleets in ways that seem impossible." Admiral Tejo had spent decades studying military history and developing new combat techniques. He had shared some of his knowledge with alien officers, but he had kept his most advanced strategies secret. Now those strategies were being used against the Council by the Void Marauders. "I think the humans are helping our enemies," suggested General Korth. "No," said Intelligence Officer Nix. We have found no evidence that humans are involved with the Void Marauders, but we have found something else. What? Some of the Marauder captains are former council officers. They learned human tactics during joint training exercises years ago. Now they are using that knowledge to defeat us. The irony was bitter. The humans had trained council forces to be better fighters. Now those same training techniques were being used to destroy council worlds. As the crisis grew worse, the council members became desperate. "We must find the humans," declared Chairman Vextar. "We must bring them back." "How?" asked Councillor Nara. "We do not know where they went." "Send scout ships to search every system in the galaxy." "We tried that, sir. Our scouts have found no trace of human colonies or bases anywhere." "Then search harder." But searching was difficult when most of the Council's best scout pilots had been humans. The alien scouts who remained were less skilled and less experienced. Many got lost in unexplored regions. Others were captured by pirates or destroyed by the Void Marauders. The economic system of the galaxy was in complete collapse. Without human merchants to coordinate trade, prices became crazy and unpredictable. A loaf of bread might cost 1 credit on Monday and 100 credits on Tuesday. Essential medicines were cheaper than candy in some places and more expensive than starships in others. "The humans understood economics in ways we never did," admitted Trade Minister Glix. "They knew how supply and demand worked across hundreds of worlds simultaneously. Banks began failing because human financial advisors were no longer available to manage complex investments. Manufacturing companies went bankrupt because human logistics experts were no longer there to organize supply chains. Unemployment rose to levels not seen in 1,000 years. Desperate people joined criminal gangs or fled to join the Void Marauders." Chairman Vextar stood alone in his office, looking out at the dying lights of Nexus Prime. Half the station was now powered down to save energy. The other half ran on backup systems that were failing more each day. "We made a mistake," he whispered to himself. "The humans were not primitives. They were the most advanced species in the galaxy, and we drove them away." But admitting the mistake was not enough to fix it. The damage was spreading too fast and too far. 1 year had passed since the humans left. The galaxy burned. Chairman Vextar stood in what remained of the council chambers. Half the ceiling had collapsed when the structural support systems failed. Water dripped through broken pipes that no one knew how to repair. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows on cracked walls. Only 5 council members remained. The others had fled to their home worlds or joined the Void Marauders. The great civilization that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years existed now only in this one damaged room. "The Marauders have taken the Centauri sector," reported General Korth. His once proud uniform was dirty and torn. "That leaves us with control of 17 systems. 17 systems out of 10,000. The numbers told the story of complete defeat." "What about the core worlds?" asked Councillor Nara. Her insect wings were broken and patched with medical tape. "Evacuated or destroyed. New Earth Prime fell last week. Arcadia surrendered 3 days ago. The agricultural worlds have been stripped bare." Chairman Vextar closed his eyes. Each world that fell had been home to millions of beings. Families torn apart, cultures destroyed, technologies lost forever, all because they had been too proud to treat humans as equals, sir, said Communication Officer Pix. "We are receiving a transmission." "From whom?" "Unknown, sir. The signal is coming from very far away, beyond our galaxy." Chairman Vexistar felt his heart jump. "Put it through." The transmission was scratchy at first. Strange static filled the air. Then gradually, a voice became clear. A familiar voice. "This is Fleet Admiral Minho Yu, speaking for humanity." Admiral Minho had been one of the human representatives years ago, a quiet man who rarely spoke during council meetings. Chairman Vextar had barely noticed him. "We have received your messages," continued Admiral Minho's voice. "All 4,732 of them. We understand that you want us to return." Chairman Vextar grabbed the communication device. "Admiral Minho, yes, we need your help." The galaxy is falling apart without you. We are prepared to offer you anything you want." "We know," said the voice calmly. "We have been watching." "Watching? From where?" A new voice joined the transmission. Dr. Hana Shin, who had worked in the medical centers. "We are currently located in the space between your galaxy and the Andromeda Galaxy. We have established several research facilities here." "Research facilities? What kind of research?" "We are studying the fundamental structure of reality. We have made contact with other advanced civilizations. We are learning how to build universes." Chairman Vextar felt dizzy. "Build universes," a third voice spoke. President Junho Song, who had been the senior human diplomat. "Chairman Vextar, we need to explain something to you. When we lived in your galaxy, we were not showing you our full capabilities." "What do you mean?" "We were holding back. We were trying to fit in. We were pretending to be less than we really were because we hoped you would eventually accept us as partners. You were already our partners." "No," said President Junho firmly. "You made us junior assistants and told us to be grateful for the privilege. There is a difference." Dr. Hana's voice returned. "For 50 years, we did simple work with primitive tools because that was what you expected from us. We could have built faster ships, but you would have been suspicious. We could have developed better weapons, but you would have felt threatened. We could have solved your problems instantly, but you would have felt useless." Admiral Minho spoke again. "We limited ourselves to make you comfortable. We pretended that your old, slow, inefficient ways were the best ways. We acted like students when we were really the teachers." Chairman Vextar's voice was barely a whisper. "Why?" "Because we believed that cooperation was better than domination. We thought that working together would benefit everyone. We hoped that eventually you would see our true worth and treat us with respect. We did respect you. You called us barely evolved primitives," said President Junho coldly. "You said we should be grateful for scraps. You rejected our ideas without listening to them. You gave us the smallest seats at your table and acted like you were doing us a favor." The truth hit Chairman Vextar like a physical blow. Everything they were saying was correct. "We are sorry," he said weakly. "We made mistakes. We were blind and foolish. Please come back. We will make you equals. We will give you leadership positions. We will listen to your ideas." "It is too late for that," said Dr. Hana gently. "We have moved beyond needing your approval." "What do you mean?" Admiral Minho's voice became stronger. "While we lived in your galaxy, we were like children pretending to be smaller so we could play with other children. But we grew tired of pretending. When we left, we stopped limiting ourselves. The structures you detected in the void are our cities," added Dr. Hana. "Each one is larger than your solar system. We built them in 6 months using techniques that make your greatest engineering projects look like toys made from mud. We have discovered other galaxies full of civilizations as advanced as we are," said President Junho. "We are part of a community that spans the entire universe cluster. Your galaxy is just one small backward corner of a much larger reality." Chairman Vextar felt everything he had ever believed crumbling around him. "If you are so powerful, why did you not conquer us? Why did you pretend to be weak?" "Because we are not conquerors," replied Admiral Minho. "We believe in cooperation, not domination. We hoped we could lift you up to our level instead of crushing you down to yours. But when it became clear that you would never accept us as equals, we decided to find people who already knew our worth." Dr. Hana's voice became sad. "We are disappointed, Chairman Vextar. Not angry, just disappointed. You had the chance to be part of something wonderful. You chose pride and prejudice instead. Please," Chairman Vextar was begging now, "give us another chance. The galaxy is dying without you. Yes, we know we have been monitoring the situation. Then help us." "We are helping you," said President Junho. "We have placed automated supply stations throughout your galaxy. They contain enough resources to rebuild your civilization if you choose to use them wisely." "Where?" "We have not found any supply stations. They are hidden until you learn to cooperate with each other. The stations will only appear when multiple species work together peacefully. They are programmed to detect genuine cooperation, not forced alliances or temporary truces. Admiral Minho's voice carried a hint of humor. Think of it as a graduation test. When you prove that you can treat each other with respect and equality, you will have access to the tools you need to rebuild. Some of your species will pass this test, added Dr. Hana. They will rebuild their worlds and eventually join the greater galactic community. Others will not. That is their choice. What about the Void Marauders? They are destroying everything. The Marauders will destroy themselves eventually. Their philosophy is unsustainable. You cannot build a lasting civilization on violence and theft. President Junho's voice became formal. This will be our final communication with your council. We are leaving this galaxy permanently. In 1,000 years, when your civilizations have matured, we may return to see how you have progressed. 1,000 years? Chairman Vextar's voice cracked with despair. Time moves differently when you can build universes, said Dr. Hana kindly. 1,000 of your years is a brief moment to us now. We wish you well, said Admiral Minho. We hope you learn from this experience. We hope you find wisdom. The transmission ended. Chairman Vextar stood alone in the broken chamber, staring at the silent communication device. Around him, the last remnants of the Great Council waited for his orders, but he had no orders to give. He had no plans to make. For the first time in his life, he truly understood how small and insignificant he was. The humans had not been junior partners or primitive newcomers. They had been gods pretending to be mortals. They had been teachers pretending to be students. They had been parents pretending to be children. And when the children refused to grow up, the parents had moved away and left them to learn on their own. 6 months later, Chairman Vextar died when Nexus Prime finally lost all power. His last thought was a memory of Captain Jinho Park walking calmly out of the council chamber. The humans had understood everything. They had understood that the council would never change. They had understood that staying would mean staying small, forever. Most importantly, they had understood that they did not need anyone's permission to be great. Some alien species did learn to cooperate. They found the hidden supply stations and used them to build better worlds. They treated each other with respect and equality, just as the humans had once hoped the council would do. Other species continued fighting until they destroyed themselves completely. In the void between galaxies, humanity built wonders that spanned light years. They created new forms of life. They discovered sciences that could reshape reality itself. They became part of something so magnificent that individual galaxies seemed as small as grains of sand. Sometimes, human explorers would pass near their old galaxy. They would observe it briefly, note its progress or lack of progress, and then continue on to greater adventures in the infinite universe beyond. They had kept their promise. They had found people who knew their worth, and they had never looked back. 6 months had passed since the humans disappeared. Chairman Vexitar had not slept properly in weeks. Dark circles surrounded his yellow eyes. His green scales had lost their shine. The galaxy was dying. Nexus Prime, once the jewel of galactic civilization, was now a broken shell. Only 3 sections still had power. The beautiful gardens had withered because no one knew how to maintain the complex irrigation systems that engineer Dane Cho had designed. The great library was dark because the quantum computers that stored millions of books had crashed without human technicians to repair them. Sir, we have lost contact with 14 more colony worlds, reported Communication Officer Pix. Her insect wings buzzed nervously as she spoke. Lost contact? What does that mean? Their communication systems have completely failed, sir, or what? Or they have joined the Void Marauders. Chairman Vextar's claws scraped against his desk. Each week brought worse news. The Void Marauder fleet now controlled over half the galaxy. They were not just pirates anymore. They had become a military empire offering protection to worlds that the Council could no longer defend. How many ships do they have now? Our intelligence estimates 5,000 combat vessels, sir, plus support ships, captured civilian craft, and newly constructed warships. They are building new fleets faster than we can count them. The numbers made no sense. 6 months ago, the Void Marauders had been a small band of criminals with maybe 50 old ships. Now they were the largest military force in known space. Where are they getting the resources to build so many ships? They are using human-designed manufacturing techniques, sir. Chairman Vexitar felt ice in his blood. What do you mean? Some of the Marauder ships are built using advanced construction methods. Our spies report that former Council engineers, who learned from humans, are now working for the Marauders. They are building ships 10 times faster than our own shipyards. It was the final insult. The humans had taught other species how to be more efficient. Now those lessons were being used to destroy everything the Council had built. Emergency meetings happened every day, but no one had solutions. We must evacuate the core worlds, suggested Councillor Nara. Move everyone to the outer rim until we can rebuild our military. Evacuate to where? Asked General Korth. The outer rim colonies are already falling apart. They have no food, no medicine, no power. Then we must surrender to the Void Marauders. Surrender? Chairman Vextar's voice was sharp with horror. We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled for 10,000 years. And for 50 of those years we ruled because humans did all the actual work, said a quiet voice. Everyone turned to look at Councillor Mex. He was old, even for his long-lived species. He had been on the Council when humans first made contact. What did you say? Demanded Chairman Vextar. I said we ruled because humans did the work. I have been thinking about this for months. Every crisis we face now, every system that has failed, every problem we cannot solve, humans were handling all of these things before. That is impossible. We made the decisions. We gave the orders. Did we? Or did humans come to us with suggestions, and we simply agreed because their suggestions always worked? The room became very quiet. Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Councillor Mex continued speaking. When Captain Jinho suggested new trade routes, did any of us study the economics to verify his ideas? When Dr. Mira proposed research projects, did any of us understand the science behind them? When Admiral Tejo recommended military strategies, did any of us question his tactics? We trusted them because they were part of our government, said Councillor Nahara weakly. No. We trusted them because they were always right, and they were always right because they were smarter than us. Chairman Vextar's tail thrashed with anger. Humans are not smarter than us. They are primitive newcomers who barely learned to fly in space. Then where are they? Asked Councillor Mex simply. If they are so primitive, why can our greatest scientists not find any trace of them? Why can our most advanced scout ships not track them down? It was a good question. The Council had spent enormous resources trying to locate the missing humans. Every exploration ship in the galaxy had been searching for months. They had found nothing. They must be hiding somewhere, insisted General Korth. Where? We have searched every star system within 1,000 light-years. We have checked every asteroid belt, every nebula, every possible hiding place. There are no human colonies. There are no human ships. There are no human bases. Maybe they are using stealth technology. Better stealth technology than ours? Better than anything we can detect with our most sensitive instruments? The questions hung in the air like poison gas. Intelligence Chief Vorn entered the chamber carrying a data pad. His face was grim. Sir, we have received new information about the search for humans. Good news, I hope, said Chairman Vextar. I'm afraid not, sir. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of the galaxy. What kind of energy signatures? Very powerful ones, sir. The energy readings are beyond anything we have ever recorded. Are they natural? Phenomena? No, sir. The patterns indicate artificial generation. Someone is using technology that produces energy levels we thought were impossible. Chairman Vextar leaned forward. Are you saying the humans are hiding at the edge of the galaxy? Not exactly, sir. The energy signatures are not coming from the edge of the galaxy. They are coming from beyond the galaxy. What does that mean? Intelligence Chief Vorn looked uncomfortable. The signatures are detected in the void between galaxies, sir. In empty space where no stars exist. That is impossible. Nothing can survive in the void between galaxies. We thought so too, sir. But the energy readings suggest the presence of massive structures out there. structures that dwarf anything we have ever built. The council members looked at each other, with growing fear and confusion. How massive? Each structure appears to be larger than a star system, sir. And there are many of them. Many? How many? Our best estimates suggest hundreds of separate energy sources, sir. Possibly thousands. Chairman Vextar felt dizzy. You are telling me that someone has built hundreds of star system-sized structures in the void between galaxies? That appears to be correct, sir. Who could do such a thing? Intelligence Chief. Vorn hesitated. Sir, the energy signatures match patterns associated with human technology, but the power levels are thousands of times greater than anything humans ever demonstrated while they lived in our galaxy. The room became dead silent. Counselor Mech spoke first. They did not just leave our galaxy. They went to a place where they could build things we cannot even imagine. But how? Asked General Korth. 6 months ago, humans lived in small colonies on outer rim worlds. They had no technology advanced enough to leave the galaxy. 6 months ago, we thought humans had no technology advanced enough to maintain our civilization either, replied Counselor Mex. We were wrong about that too. Chairman Vextar stared at the data pad showing energy readings from beyond the galaxy. The numbers made no sense. The power levels were comparable to entire stellar formations. Try to contact them, he ordered. Sir, send messages toward those energy signatures. Try every frequency. Use every communication method we have. Sir, the distances involved are enormous. Messages would take years to reach the void between galaxies. Then send the messages anyway. Intelligence Chief Vorn bowed and left the chamber. Chairman Vextar turned back to the other council members. We will find the humans. We will bring them back. We will fix this disaster. But even as he spoke the words, he did not believe them. Deep in his heart, he was beginning to understand a terrible truth. The humans had not run away from the galaxy because they were afraid or angry. They had left because they had outgrown it. The council had spent 50 years treating humans like children who needed guidance and protection. All that time, the humans had been learning and growing and becoming something greater. Now they were building impossible structures in the emptiness between galaxies. They were using technology that made the council's greatest achievements look like primitive toys, and they were never coming back. The galaxy continued to fall apart around the remaining council species, but in the cold void between the stars, something magnificent was taking shape, something that made entire galaxies seem small and unimportant. The humans had moved on to bigger things. Chairman Vextar finally understood why Captain Jinho had said only 2 words before walking away from the council chambers. We understand. They had understood everything. They had understood that the council would never respect them. They had understood that staying in the galaxy would mean staying, small and limited forever. Most importantly, they had understood that they did not need the galaxy at all. They could build their own.